Should you play Tomb Raider now? I'll be letting you know whether this game is worth your time and your interest. Now, this is of course my opinion, so just bear in mind before we head in. First of all, Tomb Raider is a stripped down version of a puzzle platformer where exploration is rewarded. It features protagonist Lara Croft, an anti-hero, kick-ass English woman on the quest to recover 3 pieces of the Skian artifact. The game is also set up in 4 distinct regions, each with its own enemies, traps and tombs to overcome. Lara also wields 2 dual pistols as you battle away at a mix of mystical creatures, wildlife and humans. The game will probably take you about 17 to 22 hours for your first playthrough. Of course, that's all depending on how you explore, how fast you do that, how slow you do that. And also, don't look up a guide, just play the game properly. Come on. Alright, real quick before we get in, the game has no hand holding. This is something I really despise in games made today, the hand holding. There are 0 of these immersion breaking features that plague modern games such as objective beacons, painted ledges, survivor instincts, and the protagonist constantly lecturing you where to go and what solutions are required for puzzles. Like the whole point of a puzzle is for you to solve. That means you'd be fully immersed in this world, which is a rarity these days, so if you're sick of all that jazz, just like I am, then you're in for a real treat. There's also no forced walking or moments where the game disables you from control, so if you played more of the modern Tomb Raiders before playing the original, then it's going to be a big breath of fresh air. The new Tomb Raiders are a real far cry from where they once were. Okay, let's talk about the level design. The levels are beautifully engineered in Tomb Raider, each level feeling distinct from one another. The colour palette is also vibrant, with warm and cold tones used appropriately, especially the later locations. All this, and combined with carefully laid out levels, really sells you the fact that you're actually in a cave or actually in a Colosseum. It's really well done despite the limited technology they had back then. And let's quickly touch on the music. It beautifully projects the isolation that Tomb Raider brings, only being present in key moments and far and few between. This suits the game overall better than just like a looping background piece. As tense moments, the music will kick in, and as well the magical moments, it will actually feel magical. Honestly, they're just moments when I'm playing for this game and the music cues just correctly, and I get all goosebumps and all like jiggly and whoa, I know, stuff like that really. Gameplay in Tomb Raider, most of the gameplay revolves you exploring levels throughout the game, the puzzles and platforming and various obstacles sprinkled about. The gameplay doesn't get too stale, only if you're stuck in like an area for like hours or something. And that's because a large chunk of Tomb Raider is the puzzles. It's quite a few of it, whilst it ultimately just boils down to pulling levers and collecting keys. There isn't enough variety in the category to keep you interested. The puzzles often incorporate exploration to solve. Another key type of puzzle is block puzzles. Lara will often have to push or pull a block. The block gameplay unfortunately is particularly slow and requires patience. This is something that is improved in the 4th game, however. Despite the slow pace of the block puzzles, some can be quite clever, as a player will have to think about where to place the block due to the tile system, which I will touch on quickly in a moment. There isn't much of them, so you won't be like bombarded by blocks to push and pull, which just kill the pace of the game. So that tile system, Lara can only jump a maximum of 3 tiles, a block takes up 1 tile, and she can grab a ledge in 2 tiles, and obviously a run jump, grab 3 tiles. So you need to like wrap your head this whole tile system before you jump in. Otherwise you're going to be kind of thrown around on how far and where to pull and where to jump. And if you ever get stuck in this game, it's probably because you've not explored something like this one corner or picked up a key item like a key or something. And you also get rewarded for doing so because the game has secrets sprinkled throughout. Now Tomb Raider also has combat, which unfortunately is quite outdated, but it's still enjoyable, even if it's like a bit clunky. Upon selecting a weapon, Lara will point to a target using the auto-aim system. You just simply have to use your action key and Lara will fire. It's nothing special, of course, but you can pull out some fun acrobatics like flipping backwards and shotgunning a wolf in front of you or something. I don't know. The combat feels more like something that's added on, whilst the new games, the combat's kind of the main focus. The earlier Tomb Raiders, the puzzle's the main focus, the exploration's the main focus, and the combat's kind of like a layer on top. So that's kind of what you expect. If you want like a big combat simulator, then it's not really designed for that. Alright, now we touched upon like what Tomb Raider is briefly, we're gonna touch about what I love about the game, the bad and the good, and where you can buy it, and like a conclusion if you should buy the game or not. Now, this is definitely one of my favourite games. Like I said before, the immersion is definitely on a high bar. Whilst the puzzles aren't like amazing, and you'd probably be better just to play like a puzzle orientated game, it's definitely not bad, and it definitely like adds to the immersion and the whole like overall bigger picture. I also like pulling off stunts and using the satisfying weapons at Lara's disposal. But the main thing that you definitely will notice about this game is it definitely tests your patience. And if you're not a very patient person, like you have an attention span of like a 4-year-old TikTok scroller, then definitely don't play this game. But if you have a somewhat good attention span, even if it's just slightly better, then you probably will be able to get by and really enjoy this game, especially if you explore. And that's definitely the strong point of this game, is the environments, the music, which complements that exploration. That's what makes it so much better than the newer games, despite the clunkiness. And I definitely think I grew as a player after playing this game. I feel more patient in games nowadays, which is kind of something that you don't get in new games, that growth as a player yourself. Now the bad, the controls, they're tank controls, and they can be quite difficult to get used to as well. But I highly recommend you familiarise yourself in Croft Manor. That is this game's tutorial level. This sort of explains how to do it, so the character will narrate, do this jump, press the action, do this. I would recommend doing Croft Manor before you jump in, especially if this is your first Tomb Raider game, and especially if it's your first classic Tomb Raider game. And of course the graphics are, not the best, especially in the PS1 version, but then again, it's like quite an old game, so I mean, what do you expect? Anyway, Tomb Raider kind of has like two main versions. It's the PS1 and Saturn version, and the Mac and PC version. There's something majorly different, but the main thing is the save crystals. They're essentially checkpoints. You only can use them once. Doing so will cause this triangle crystal to disappear. This can be tedious, but does offer a unique challenge in a way. So if you're on the PS1 version, definitely use the crystals in like a wise manner, because you'll kind of screw yourself over. In the PC version, you can just sort of save wherever you want to. Okay, so the easiest way you can get Tomb Raiders on Steam, it's £5. Don't know what that is in dollars or euros, but you can look it up. And sometimes it's even on sale, so on like the winter time or like New Year sales or just autumn sales, that sort of stuff. It's on PS3 for £5 as well. That is if the store is still up in the PS3, which it isn't for now. We'll see how that goes. And the game is also available on mobile for 90p, physical copy for Mac and PS1. I don't really know the prices, they kind of fluctuate, but you do need like older software to run the physical, I believe. So I also recommend you download an automatic patch from Calmundo. It adds the PS1 music, improves the graphics, and removes the bars on the Steam port. Because unfortunately the Steam port isn't that very good, so you can thank Crystal Dynamics for that one, thank you. But I have virus scanned the patch, it's all clear and all good, but it's definitely a must really for the Steam version. But wait, this is a bit in the future, but they have announced, well, a while ago actually, they're doing Tomb Raider remasters. You better be covering that. I cannot comment if that's a good way to play the game. It could be terrible, but I'm really optimistic. That's the right word, optimistic for this. So we'll see how good these remaster versions. I'll have some news on that in the future of the channel, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so as a conclusion, I think you should give Tomb Raider a play. Lara Croft is definitely one of the coolest characters, especially the old ones, the old Lara Croft. It is one of my favourite games. If you love action-adventure games and you like a bit of puzzle and really want to seek that sense of growth in a player, you definitely need to stick around and at least give it a shot. And if you're struggling with the controls, remember there is that tutorial level. Yeah, there's no hand holding, which is great, and it's just a really good game. Of course, if you're not really that patient or not like really hate older games, you only like new games with hand holding, yeah, don't get this game. But if you've got any of those, if you're even curious, optimistic, definitely give it a shot. So yeah, I'll have all the links and you can check the things out. Thank you for watching this video. I hope I didn't ramble too long. Coming up, I got a playthrough, so take care now. Bye.